welcome back. We're at the Sunday afternoon session now in Ballroom 1. I'm David Ma, and I'll be chairing this session. And our first speaker is Dipendra Paudel. I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am thrilled to be here. Imagine you are a chef, and you work in a bustling residential canteen. You are the master of a craft, and you use your culinary arts to make residents' day throughout the day. Your team moves with practiced rhythm, so the order comes in, you prep the ingredients, you plate and serve it. Every morning, you are a routine person. You collect the delivery. Delivery comes with that invoice. You put the invoice aside for finance to process. Place your order for the next day. You clean up, and you repeat the same thing. One day, the delivery did not turn up. Maybe you forgot to order. You went back to the purchasing platform, you checked the order, yep, it's there, confirmed, and it was placed yesterday at 2 o'clock. Maybe there is something wrong with the system. So you contact your IT, you contact your procurement, they say, hey, system is all green. How did we land here? What happened? Let me present to you our story of the digital transformation from kitchen chaos to the Kubernetes. My name is Dipendra Paudel. I am solution architect at CareCare, and I have been working with Python since 4 years, 2021. Before we jump into the story, I would like to give you a little bit of context about the business. We are one of the largest contract catering company in Australia. We operate throughout Australia. And our business is really, really diverse. I mean, really, really diverse. To give you some perspective about the complexity of our business, let me give you a little bit of overview about the operation. So throughout Australia, we manage more than 250 operations, including urban, remote, and retail. So urban includes schools, canteens, daycare, aged care, residential homes, hospitals, business venues, or some government facilities. In the remote, we also serve 5-star meal to mining camps workers, defense bases, and some renewal operations. In the retail, we also provide food service and retail services to airport and some hospitals as well. We also offer our tools and technologies and platforms to some other businesses. So we have partnered with 3 other businesses to manage their 200 other operations. On top of that, we also have manufacturing operations, which include mini meals, and we prepare ready-made wholesome kids meal to provide it to daycare or the childcare facilities. We also have Care Food Co, where we prepare or process textured, modified, pureed food for people having swallowing difficulties or dysphagia. And to support all these operations, we have more than 3,000 employees. I started my career back in 2018 when I was freshly graduated accountant. That was my dream job I landed in. My job was very, very simple. Receive the paperwork from the site, process them enter them manually into the accounting system, put the stamped processed, archive them, file them into the archiving room, and at the end of the period or week, we would go through the reporting cycle. So we'll just produce the report, submit it to whoever needs it, and repeat. I love crunching those numbers. And you may ask, okay, how was your desk look like? Yes, this was my desk back in 2018. So I had enough space for all the paperwork, a printer of my own, and a little bit of space to accommodate my monitors and keyboard, mouse, and pens, or pens. And that actually made sense to me at the time. And I had the feeling that I could touch the data by having the paper on hand. And if you think, oh, this is no good, there is a problem in here, the business already knew it. And they started with a silver bullet. Yep, let's have a silver bullet in a unicorn project to fix all the problems in one go. So the vision was one platform that can be used by everybody throughout the operations, whether you are in finance or HR or quality control, everybody going to use the same platform. And our story ended up like this, or this, or the closest one, the Metcast. I'm not here to talk about how we, what happened or dig into the details, but if you are interested, you can have a look. But I am here to talk about how did we pick it up after this. And I was in there to, I entered the career as well, just because of this project. So I'm lucky that it. So what I did afterwards is, with a little bit of Excel magic, VLOOKUPs, Power Pivots, VBA, I had a little bit of spare time to play with. So I started giving my hands to the support team. And my life has never been the same since. It was a nightmare. Support tickets, service requests, device problems. If you have worked, all of you guys know about it. And among them, the most prevalent issue was printer. So printers, toners, and cartridges, imagine that with hundreds of office staff. Combine that with all of our operations. And that was the support team. People had their own preference and preferred brands to put it on the table. It was like their pet. And for us, it was a problem. And we started asking questions. How do we reduce that? How do we solve this problem? So after brainstorming, some of the questions raised was, OK, what are the brands that gives most of the problem? Oh, wait. Why don't we focus on the brands that doesn't give any problems? Hang on. Do we actually need printers on every desk? The pattern was similar. I just simplified the problem in the context of printer, but it was across the board, all the devices. PCs, laptops, monitors, phones, everything. So we agreed upon two things. Papers must go out of the business. The other one is we need to have consistency across devices use. For offices, we decided to install central printers, and people had to work a little bit to do fetch the printers and papers. And we started taking away printers from the desk. But that was not easy. So that kept continuing until the 2019, end of 2019. And every cloud has a silver lining. So pandemic came, and pandemic helped us boost that initiatives. So people started working from home. That means our job became easy. We started training them with, okay, how to efficiently use workspace, how to communicate better, using email, chat, or digital platforms. Use shared drives to share the files or artifacts you need to. So you don't need to print, and people are away from the printers. And we sneaked in, took away all the printers, sent it to e-waste. While all this was happening, the story of the missing delivery starting to unfold. Our procurement team managed the delivery for the day, sorted out. But the problem was, one of the suppliers they used has really, really short payment terms, like 7 days or whatever. And the account was overdue. And because of that, they put it on hold. Why did that happen? Imagine sending the paperwork from site to finance team might take a week. And that's not enough to make it a payment. And we started discussing and reviewing, why did that happen? How can we resolve it? Because this is a serious problem that cannot happen again in the business. And while passing by to our accounts payable team, I also saw she was printing papers again. Why? Because she would receive the statements from supplier and search in the accounting platform to look for whether the invoice is processed or not to make the payment, and she would mark green, processed, red, not received yet. She would mark all the way, and it would take 2 weeks to process one statement for one supplier. So the statement they receive, marking, checking them one by one to find the status whether it is processed or not. And the problem was, we do not have one supplier. We do not have 5 suppliers. We do not have 10 suppliers. We have more than 1,000 suppliers. Why did we have such suppliers? Because to put it into the perspective, back in financial year 2019-20, we actually processed more than 220,000 invoices, and for over 1,000 suppliers. And if you see the pattern over there, it becomes significant. Because if you take one supplier 2 weeks to process, there will definitely be a problem. And you have payment terms to respect as well. Why did we have so many suppliers? Because one of our values was caring in the community with pride. And we advocate for local suppliers, like local produce or indigenous suppliers, and closest suppliers to the site and operations. We had to patch. So for the immediate fix, what we did was actually train them using the existing tool. Okay, now our ERP system or accounting system supports import and export. You can simply export it for the supplier's account and use the VLOOKUP to do the lookup to find the status. And some suppliers, because not all suppliers are really advanced to send us the data in the required format. Some of them might send us PDFs. Some of them might also send us images, snippet from the Excel sheet they maintain. So in those instances, what we did was use some of the OCR tools to extract the data and use the same technique, use the VLOOKUP. You can easily find that in minutes, for each of the suppliers. And then we started looking into the broader terms. So we had to do something because papers everywhere, everybody using papers, and it wasn't scalable. So what we did is we planned the existing process. If you have a look, we had a little bit of integrations, existing integrations, like 23%. And those integrations mostly came from like major suppliers, like a couple of those who really had a robust system into the platform. So, and from the and also we have different ERP system, accounting system versus purchasing platform. So we need to integrate the purchasing platform to the ERP system as well. So the plan was we need to fast track the supplier integrations. And so we started from the top to bottom approach, from like find the suppliers with the largest volume, integrate them, and move on. So we have to work with suppliers, the site, procurement, and accounts. So, and we also centralize the data flow. So that means if supplier is really capable, if they have a really robust system, we integrate that to the purchasing platform. And the purchasing platform data can flow through the ERP system. And that's not enough, because we also need visibility over the data across various departments and divisions. So to facilitate that, we need to have integrations. We actually tried the existing integrations that allow us to grab the data to our warehouse, but that didn't work well. So we had to create our own using Python. We used BigQuery as our warehousing, and we started using Looker Studio to give the insight or BI tools, and then whoever needs to have access to make better decisions and have a live, timely access to the data and information. And with this approach, there are still outliers because, yes, like I mentioned before, not all of our suppliers are really advanced or in tech savvy. So sometimes they make a list, handwritten list, or maintain the invoices or transactions in their spreadsheet, and then they send it to us as an invoice or a statement, and those can't be integrated. And we actually also need to give access to our site, because now if everything is coming through the platform, they lost the touch to the data. The paper doesn't exist anymore. Suppliers are sending it either email or EDI. So to facilitate that, we actually used Google Suite and used AppScript to automate the integrations. So whatever they were maintaining previously, manually typing in, now the data is flowing through automatically. And if there are any manual transactions, they would put it in, because it didn't come through the platform or a purchasing platform, and finance would process them later on. And this approach, the numbers tells us some story. So we went from 23 to, in 1920, to 69% integrated supplier by volume. So, and this was not the final figure, so we went on. So it's currently around about above 85%. So that process is not one sprint. It keeps going on. So, and let's go back to our accounts payable team. Now let's see what they are doing. So now they are still doing like download the transactions from the supplier statement, use the VLOOKUP, and use different tools to parse the data and wrangle it, and then try finally find out what's the status of each transactions. And this was also not satisfactory, because they need to download for each supplier. There are so many suppliers to download from, and it takes significant times for each supplier to download, parse it, combine it, look up, and mark it, and find the status, and the manual overhead. So we also need to do the same thing, like integrate it using the same tool, AppScript and Google Sheet. So we created some templates for them to use, and they can simply just copy the data from supply statement and paste the data into the spreadsheet, Google Sheet, and it would tell you what's the status of the transaction, whether it's been received in purchasing platform, approved, or finance still hasn't been processed that, haven't posted that, or it's already been paid, or we don't have visibility, it hasn't been received. So they would know that automatically by just simply copying and pasting. And this was working a little bit better than the previous approach, but it also has some overhead. Because now you need to, because they also need to, they were tracking the transactions and keeping the history. That means significant amount of files being maintained in the drive for each suppliers and the time. So we had enough. And this approach wasn't only in accounts payable case, but throughout other operations as well, or other initiatives as well. So we had enough, and we need to do something. So we finally decided to go full stack development. So this is the original architecture we came up with. We use Django as our framework. Because it also requires to run some integrations. We use salary background task, and we use RabbitMQ as our message broker. So because of the persistency of the messages. And we spent a couple of months to investigate, find out, and then this is what actually worked for us. And the idea was, with this approach, we would create the dream application that we originally dreamed of, which actually failed during the ERP implementation. But we will not go full on. So what we will do is we'll start small. We'll start from one piece. Like if there is an elephant in the room, how do you eat it? You have to take a bite one step at a time. So we started with our first module, the T-Rex. We call it T-Rex because it's transaction reconciliation. And the idea was, OK, so we have our purchasing platform. We have our ERP system. Those are easily integratable. So we integrated those to the Django application, which is a project. And from there, we categorize suppliers into 3 categories. One is EDI, which would send us the data, electronic data, into our platform. The other suppliers are who can't do that, but they can still send emails or PDFs. And some other suppliers who still can't do that, we will have them as manual suppliers or non-integrated suppliers. And finally, when it comes to accounts payable, they will receive the statements from suppliers saying, hey, this is your statement of your account. Please give me the payment, or submit the payment. And in the T-Rex, what we did was create some background tasks to do the parsing of the data, the validations, the lookup, and everything. So they only need to do is the upload. Get the data, get the statement from supplier, and upload into the system. So let me show you a little bit of demo, how it works. And it might not be, I may not be able to speak with the flow because it's really, really fast, but I'll try. So yesterday, oops. So yesterday, I received a statement from supplier that said, hey, our term is 7 days, and you still haven't paid August statement. So what I did was download the statement, create a new statement file in the application, uploaded that into the application, give it a second, it will pass the data, and the data is ready. Now I can simply run reconciliation. And give it a second, and it would tell me the status of the statement. So yep, there are 8 not received invoices. OK, let's see what's going on. Let's follow up, not received invoices. And yes, it is OCR supplier integrated with email. And yes, there are 3 invoices for August not been received. So I compose email. It composes the email based on the template we set up. And yep, you change the data or templates or the communication, whatever you like. It will ask supplier to submit those invoices into the dedicated channel. And there you go. Create the draft. And now finally you submit. Boom, go. So what took 2 weeks in the previous workflow now just takes seconds. So final thoughts. Digital transformation is not just about technology, it's about people and processes. And before implementing anything, you just need to ask, and you just need to make sure you understand why. Why behind this process, why behind the implementation, and why they need to do that particularly. And there are various different ways you can do the same thing. And innovation is often born out of the necessity where they have the daily challenges, where they face the challenges, or the frontline workers who are facing the problems. The team on the ground. And innovation does not happen in the boardroom. An agile, iterative approach that with the continuous development, will have quick wins. And it will also allow you to adapt easily with the moving directions of the both business needs as well as the technology. Resistance to the change is natural. We are human beings. And proactive communication, training, supporting the people are the key to make any project initiatives or transformation success. And you are the tech person. You need to ask, if there are anybody struggling, if there are any people, if you can help. And if you can help, make change, and make positive impact into the people's life. And for your information, the digital transformation story I just shared, we made no positions redundant. Some of the feedback from our operations, along with paperless, of course, was they now can see timely information. The information is visible in front of them. It's just a few clicks away. And they can support the complex and growing business without needing to have an extra hand or worrying about it. Finally, we learned a lot from the community, and we also use a lot of open source tools and platforms and libraries. Please keep up the good work. And if you ask, you were just 3 people. How did you support all this journey? So now we have grown up, and now we have the team of the bunch of our peoples supporting full stack development. And you may also wondering, how does my work session look like? Yep, that's my old. And this is the one I just took before leaving. And thank you very much for your time.